What up everybody, it's me, Blake316, here to give my thoughts and opinions, and mainly my first impressions of a highly anticipated game for the PlayStation 4, which is BloodBorne. It's highly anticipated because, one, it's a console exclusive, and two, it comes from the same makers who made the game Dark Souls that was originally released on the Xbox 360 as well as the PlayStation 3. I got the game really early, so I'm not going to be showing any gameplay footage. Right now, this first impressions of video is about 4 days before release. I've actually got it a couple days before that. With that being said, I'm not going to be showing any gameplay, but I will be giving my first impressions on this game because I played about an hour and a half of it. So like I stated, I have played about an hour and a half of the game, and like I said, this is my first impressions. I'm also going to be let it known that I have played Dark Souls for the Xbox 360. I do have both games out because everyone is comparing BloodBorne to Dark Souls, being that it's pretty much from the same makers. Dark Souls was extremely hard. People thought BloodBorne is going to be just as hard, if not harder, than Dark Souls. So right now, everyone's comparing BloodBorne to Dark Souls. With that being said, I'm going to get straight into my first impressions of BloodBorne. For starters, the graphics do not really blow me away, honestly. I mean, I was expecting really good graphics because, one, it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive, and it's also just the PlayStation 4. I was really, anticipating really high-quality graphics. The graphics aren't bad, but they're not impressive either. I personally like the art style, how it's real dark and gritty, and, everything's, gives you kind of like an eerie feel. I personally like the art style, but as far as graphics, it's nothing great. They're probably on par with The Last of Us Remastered. I'm not going to say it looks anything like Rise or The Order 1866. It's not that level as far as graphics, but the game does look pretty cool. As far as the beginning, when the game first starts, they pretty much, you're on a stretcher, and you're given an IV, and you're kind of being brung to life. With that being said, you kind of can customize your character, whether you want different class types, or you can also your characteristics such as your face, just the typical stuff, how you look, your outfit, your hair. You are allowed to customize your character to start the game. There's also different classes, such as like a loner, where you're by yourself, or if you're better in groups, etc. There's different classes for your particular guy. But then, once you pick your particular class, you go straight into the game. With that being said, there's not much story. Actually, there is no story given at all. Other than, you're put on a table, you got an IV, and then you're thrown into life, and then you get thrown into the game. There is no story, just like Dark Souls. With that being said, the game doesn't really tell you much of what to do. You're just kind of, exploring the level or the world, and you kind of figure things out on your own. Comparing it to Dark Souls, the difficulty, I remember Dark Souls starting off a hell of a lot harder than BloodBorne. The games play alike. I'll be honest with you, when I first started playing BloodBorne, I probably died like 5 times within the first 30 minutes. It's mainly because I was distracted by other things. Once I figured out how to equip my weapon, I killed the first enemy within the first try. That being said, the enemies are not really that hard to start off, like I said, unlike Dark Souls. If you play Dark Souls, it's the same pattern. You can't rush and try to hack and slash everything. You have to attack your enemies with strategical, strategy. Go 1-2 hits, then you gotta back out, and then wait for them to attack you, then go again, another 1-2 hits. It's the same type of thing. Like I said, they're not that hard. But when you are attacking them, feels like kind of like a hack and slash, where you're just mashing R1 or L1, because R1 and L1 are your different hands, your right hand and your left hand. With that being said, you can equip 2 items or 2 weapons. In your R1, you can have an axe, and L2, you can have a gun. Unlike in Dark Souls, it was just mainly melee, or you had arrows. In BloodBorne, you do have you do have guns. So you can either attack your enemies from range, or you can do melee. And to let you know, the enemies also have guns, so they will be attacking you from range as well. It does have the same Dark Souls type of gameplay as far as a stamina bar. If you go just ramming on your R2 or L1 button, or R1 button, your stamina will go down, which means your player will get tired and it won't be able to attack as quickly as you want. The camera is actually really good. So far, I have no problems. The camera moves really well around your guys. One downfall is when you die, there seems to be really long load times. Kind of takes a while for the game to reload into the world, I guess because the world is so big. It plays a hell of a lot like Dark Souls, like I said. Starts off easy. Another thing in BloodBorne, the enemies, a lot of them look alike, which is kind of disappointing because the game did just start. Like I said, there's not much of a story, so you seem to be seeing like the same 2 or 3 enemies over and over and over again, and it's not like you would think there'd be more variety in the game once they first start. The enemies, like I said, the game starts off easy. They're not that hard. One thing they do is if you try to run from them, the enemies will chase you, and if there's like 5-6 enemies on the screen at once, 5 or 6 enemies will actually chase after you. So you got to be smart. You can't draw one enemy off and like, you know, try to lure them to you. That being said, if you mess up, and you will get like 3 or 4 of them chasing you, and as far as you try to run, they will keep chasing you. Just like Dark Souls, there is a death penalty, meaning if you die, you will lose the progress that you made. So they really penalize you for dying. But also another thing is, like I said, it starts off easier than Dark Souls. Is that BloodBorne, they give you a lot of health to start. You know, you can search, you're constantly finding health. When you get enemies, you can search the corpses and you find even more health. With that being said, if you die, you will lose your progress and you do have to do it all over again. When you do kill your enemies, it has the same type of effect of Dark Souls where you kind of steal their soul and you absorb it. It even almost has the same exact sound clip from when you're taking in the soul. But yeah, I mean, so far the game is not bad. It is hard, but it's not that hard yet. The graphics look really good. It's definitely one of those games you need patience for. It's going to be interesting for me because I'm more of a rush and go into the action. You have to like pace yourself. You have to be smart about attacking things. But like I said, the graphics feel good. It feels a whole lot like Dark Souls. If you didn't like Dark Souls, you might not like this one because the controls feel just the same. The combat feels just the same. The game looks cool in my opinion. I really like the dark, eerie feel and, you know, the whole dark world. I like it. It's really cool. But yeah, it's me, Blake316, just giving my first impressions on BloodBorne. One of the highly anticipated PlayStation 4 games to come out this year. People are expecting big numbers out of it for the first week. Make sure to subscribe for future videos. Until next time, peace.